What is going on, Straw Hats? Muugiwara today, and I'm going to be bringing you my Traptrix deck build. Now, the way this deck works is mainly you're just going to want to be destroying your opponent's monsters with things like Trap Hole, affecting them with Trap Hole, just effectively being a pretty big douche to your opponent whenever they try and summon a monster. Now, without further ado, let's go to work. As you can see with this deck, we have 15 monster cards, 12 spell cards, 13 trap cards, and 15 exceed monsters in our extra deck. We start off with Book of Moon, as it's just a nice counterplay card for whatever is summoned on the field. You can either use it defensively or offensively to either hinder your opponents or save your own monster. We have Dark Hole to clear the field in case anything happens. A good alternative would be Raigeki. We have 2 Mystical Space Typhoons, used to clear your opponent's back row or your own if needed to. We have Pot of Duality for free draws, as mainly with this deck we're not really going to be looking for special summons too often, so we're going to be having Pot of Dualities to check for the top 3 and pick one that we need. We run 2 Shards of Greeds because it's the next best thing to Pot of Greed. 2 turns for 2 cards, it's pretty good. We run 2 Upstart Goblins to give your opponent 1000 life points and then draw a card. It's not the best idea for me, in my opinion, this kind of card, but at the end of the day, a draw is a draw. We run Verdant Sanctuary to be able to search out from our grave our main card, Traptrix Myrmeleo. The importance of this card is very significant in running this deck. We run Bottomless Trap Hole, as this is a Traptrix deck. As you can see, people like Myrmeleo have the ability to search trap holes from your deck. Nepenthes, when you activate Trap Hole, you get special summon one from your deck. Dionea lets you activate one from your grave, but it gets banished. And Atrax lets you just activate them from your hand, so they become hand traps. We run Tool Call the Haunted for the special summon bonus that almost all of the monsters have. Dionea allows you to, as I said, to take a normal trap hole from your graveyard and set it that turn. And we have Myrmeleo, when she special summons, she pretty much becomes an MSD. We then have Compulsory Evacuation Device. This card can be used to either ruin your opponent's biggest monster, get over cards that can't be destroyed, such as Beels, or to save your own monster if necessary. We also have Torrential Tribute, which is essentially another Dark Hole that triggers upon summoning of a monster. Either you or your opponent can trigger this, so if you need to, you can flip your own monster or summon a monster to activate this card. We run the basic Trap Hole to get over the normal summon monsters that your opponents summon with 1000 or more attack. This is just a generic card for this deck, as Trap Hole is the key card. We run Traptrix Trap Hole Nightmare. When a monster is special summoned and activates its effect on the opponent's side of the field, negate that effect, and if you do, destroy the card. It's pretty useful for getting over certain cards that use their effects when special summoned, just to get rid of them straight off the field, as it also negates effects. We run Void Trap Hole. When your opponent special summons a monster with 2000 more attack, negate the effect of those monsters with 2000 more attack, and if you do, destroy it. This is very useful for getting over almost every Exceed monster in this game, so it's very useful. As the other 2 trap holes in this deck weren't able to be found, I made the next best substitute and took Wiretap. Now, Wiretap works in a very unique way, as in when your opponent activates a trap card, you can not only negate the activation but shuffle the trap card back into their deck. It's a nice way of getting over things like Mirror Force, and if your opponent sets up the top card of their deck, you can shuffle whatever back into their deck to give them a nice shuffle. Beetron. Now, Beetron the card works with Verdant Sanctuary. What happens is when you have Myrmeleo in the graveyard, you can use Beetron's effect, get rid of Verdant Sanctuary, and then you can special summon Myrmeleo from your graveyard. As it targets only insect monsters, you can actually target Atrax as well, though you'd probably want to go for Myrmeleo for the free bounce or pop. We have 2 Cardcar Ds, as we're going to be setting a lot of trap holes on the field. We're going to also need to rely on a lot of draws, so Cardcar D is an essential card to drawing more cards. Another key card in the deck is Neo-Spacian Grand Mole. This card can get over practically anything there is in this game. It's a nice combo with Wiretap, because most opponents will try and Mirror Force your Grand Mole just to get rid of it, but Wiretap will put that back in your deck to make sure that Grand Mole is nice and safe. And then, as I said, we have Traptrix Atrax. I already briefly went over it. You can activate your Trap Hole card from your hand when this card is on the field. We have Traptrix Dionea. When you normal summon the card, you can target a Traptrix monster in your graveyard, special summon in defense mode. Great card for Exceed summoning, combining that with Myrmeleo again, giving you essentially a very large amount of back row clearance thanks to the MSTs and the Myrmeleo more or less being MSTs. Nepenthes is a nice way to trap your opponent. It's got 2000 defense points. Usually I would summon it in attack mode, put a couple of trap holes face down, my opponent summons a monster, and then they get trap holed. And the effect is, when the trap hole card is activated, except during the damage step, you can add to your hand or special summon one Traptrix monster from your deck, meaning you can either add the MST, special summon the MST straight to the field, or add it to your hand to add a hole to your hand next turn. Now let's get onto the extra deck. We have Castel, the Skyblaster Musketeer. This card is really amazing for getting over anything. You can detach one and then set one of your opponent's monsters face down, or you can detach two and shuffle it back into the deck. We have Daigusto Emeral, another really good card. Detach one, and you can target 3 monsters in your graveyard, shuffle them into the deck, and draw 1 card. Or you can detach and then target 1 non-effect monster in your grave, special summon that target. Sadly, we don't have any targets that can be targeted by this, so you're only going to be relying on that first effect. Diamond Dire Wolf's main use is for sacrifice. You would summon Diamond Dire Wolf to just kill him and to kill whatever your opponent has summoned to make sure that you can get over it. Gagaga Cowboy is a really nice card for ending duels, especially when your opponent is left on with 1600 to 800 life points. You simply just special summon in defense mode, detach 1, and your opponent practically loses the duel. We also have Maestroke the Symphonic Djinn. Special summon in defense mode, usually what you want to do, you can target one face-up attack position monster your opponent controls, change it to face-down defense position. And if this card would be destroyed, you can detach 1 Exceed to overlay unit to stop this card being destroyed. Number 101, Silent Honor Arc, is probably one of the, well, arguably one of the best Exceed monsters. Instead of being destroyed, you can detach 1 and the card will survive the destruction. Its other effect is you can detach 2 and this card can steal 1 special summon monster that your opponent has summoned. Number 103, Ragnazero. This card is also pretty good as it can be used during either player's turn. When your opponent has a monster, as most people do, like to buff up their monsters, when they buff up their monster, you can detach 1, destroy that monster, and draw a card. Utopia is just a generic card. It's a decent Exceed. It's not really special anyway, but it's good for negating attacks. Blackship of Corn is a pretty useful card. When your opponent summons a monster with less attack than this card, you can just pop it and make your opponent take 1000 damage, though he cannot attack that turn. Heartland Draco is a pretty nice card, as when you special summon, when you summon it onto the field, you can detach 1 and you can attack your opponents directly, though none of your other monsters can attack this turn. This card works really nicely in combo with things like Verdant Sanctuary as well as Shard of Greed, because when you have a, as you can see, while you have a continuous spell card on the field, this card cannot be targeted for attacks. Photon Papilloperative. This card is also pretty useful for when your opponent has a face-down monster. You can detach 1, flip it into attack mode, and it loses 600 attack. This is a nice combo that you can do with 3 cards. If you manage to summon Photon Papilloperative, however you say that card, Castel, as well as Ragnazero on the field by any chance, you can put the monster face down into defense mode. You can flip summon it into attack mode, so it loses 600, and then you can pop it with Ragnazero. It's a hard combo to do, but it's a pretty nice way to get around really powerful monsters that your opponents might have summoned. Thank you guys for watching my build. The next build video that we're going to bring to you will be Shadow's. The deck is still in a work in progress, but I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you have an awesome day. And as always, people, Muugiwara, signing out.